On the second day of the mine tour, we visited Lonmin's Americana mine. We would like to thank Dennis Hoffman and his staff for coming in on Freedom Day to give us a presentation of the deposit and also to show us the drill core. The Americana mine is located on the western limb of the Bushveld complex. In the drill core, we saw mineralization from the Moransky Reef, UG2, and the Bastard Reef. In the drill core, we also saw examples of the iron replacement ultramafic pegmatites.
Today we're visiting the Bushveld complex, and we're just arriving at the Lonmin core shed, where they're going to give us a rundown on the geology of the platinum systems.
And it's towards on the eastern side of the Lonmin's property. It's close to the grids. Okay. So we pretty much start top of the critical zone here. We don't really have a bastard reef here anymore. And then we have this is the Moransky Reef here. You see it's basically a peroxenite, and it's quite a wide peroxenite. In that area, some of the places, whereas Moransky Reef on this side here is sometimes only a meter wide. Okay, very slight. You more than welcome to have a look. Pick it up, turn around, see what's got in it.
Probably about 80% modal plagioclase with superficial poikilytic pyroxene, with also the orthopyrite. You can't see in the core, but the crystals would be nice and sort of euhedral, possibly 2, 3, 4 millimeters across. There's normally a very sharp contact at the base, commonly with a chromatite, but that's missing in this particular example. The reef contact would be the footwall contact. In essence, you can consider it to be an unconformity. So the reef was in place on top of this material, probably when it was already crystallized. Commonly what you can see is layering within the anorthosite, and you can see that the reef cuts through the layer, but not in this particular example. We'd need to see an underground. And this material here is the reef proper, Moransky peroxenite, they often call it. Can be pegmatoidal, but I don't see any zones of pegmatoidal within it. Sulfides can be up to 5 modal %, typically. Okay, so pyrrhotite, gallic pyrite, hematite, magmatic for the sulfides. This particular example has a missing upper chromatite contact. So you get a gradational Moransky peroxenite coming up, and then it sort of grades into this spotted anorthosite. And here again, you've got probably 85%, maybe a little bit more, modal plagioclase. This time with little tiny spots of small pyroxenes. And this comes up with a contact somewhere in here, grades up into the mottling again with a larger poikiloblast.
Much lower.
And then what's it grade into under your feet there? That changes texture dramatically.
It's probably going up into a noretic kind of material.
That's a brand new mine that's open at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be a plagioclase rich in gabbro norite probably.
But they're just putting up a
Probably a lot of orthopyroxene, a little bit of sinus pyroxene.
There's
a lot of plastic.
This borehole is quite far to the east.
Also-
What
also
happens is that
mine-
the actual
mine has
bastard
mine
reef
sulfide.
actually
That's why you have-
diminishes. It actually just pinches out, so it's not, you don't get that peroxide developed anymore. But if you look at a borehole from the western side of the property, you know, you'll see the bastard reef quite clearly developed. And it's something very similar to this. That's right. And many a miner has gone up the wrong reef.
Are these pretty distinctive that you're getting to a PGE-rich reef, or do they occur in other places?
Look, the alternating sequence of chromatite, peroxenite, and norite and northosite is quite common in the upper critical zone. So you've got multiple of these sequences, but it's, you know, it's known sort of where it is, sort of in which cycle it is. You find the PGE mineralization.
Areas where the grades are much lower. In the case of this marine is extremely wide. So you start moving towards the side.
Yeah. Well, this facies over here is what we call, did you call them East Flats facies?
No, I didn't.
Okay. This, you know, we've got something like about 6 different types of Morensky facies, and this fascie over here is basically distinctive with a chromatite developed on the basal contact over there.
We don't really see chrome.
No, but you know, generally you do. And then you'll find some mineralization that will be developed about probably about 40 centimeters from the hanging wall contact. And it's
basically,
yeah,
you'd have to mine
okay.
this trackless.
You know, and this isn't, you know, the grades over here run at about 3 grams per ton of 3 PGEs plus gold. So for us, it's not really sort of a high incentive to pursue it, but we, you know, and we haven't even classified it as a mineral resource.
But definitely
But you know, as platinum prices change, you know, it may have some potential in the future. The trick around this one is that there's no reference horizon, and you know, when we mine these reefs underground, there's normally a marker or a hanging wall contact that you have to follow. Otherwise, you just, you know, the miners can't see where the mineralization is. So that what they'd have to do here is they would mine on the hanging wall contact, and so you've got to take an extra dilution with you. And you know, when you start mining millions of square meters with this extra 10 or 20 centimeters, it becomes a huge amount of rock you've got to bring up to surface. But
What's your cut-off grade usually on the mining?
the general cut-off grade that's used in the platinum industry seems to be about 2 grams per ton. You know, in that order. You know, it's never, we don't, most platinum mines don't actually, it's not like gold mines where they actually have a marginal cut-off grade.
Right.
You know, when we mine the UG2, you mine it basically regardless. Most of the material has potential for economic extraction, and so cut-off grades are very seldom applied, you know, in terms of a block grade, but in terms of the Morensky, where there is a selective cut that you can take, is what we do is we compile these histograms and we look at the grade profile, and 2 grams per ton seems to always coincide with a reasonable mining cut or a geological contact. So that's more or less the number that's used.
Thanks.
No, not really.
You can see whether maybe a handling
A different phase of the same
you
thing.
know, there's quite a bit of plagioclase that you find in this. You know, just looking at it, it looks pretty black, but if you look at it, it's got a very strong white hue to it. So, you know, a sample like this would probably contain, I don't know, about 40 to 45% you know, chrome and about 55% pledge. Yeah, so it's quite a bit. This one, you get all sorts of little textures, and I just haven't looked at that, you know, too closely. But I guess the SG.
You can guess the
Yeah.
You took a bit of this material and compared it with that angle.
It's about 3.82, I think.
as much so.
Yeah. I think the average SG is about 3.8 to 3.9.
Okay.
So it's got a fairly high specific gravity. whereas the peroxenite's about 3.23. The other really interesting study that's been done is, these are almost bimineralic assemblages of orthopyroxene and plagioclase. So if you know what the density of pure plagioclase is and density of pure orthopyroxene, and you measure the density, you can actually work out the mineral proportions of the two.
All the pyroxene you see in this is primarily orthopyroxene. So that's pretty much the only way. But if I take it from there, you can see this is a lot.
The pressure shifted the actual crystallization into the chromatite stability field, and that's when it settled out. And then that's the only mechanism that I think is plausible. Even the magma mixing is sort of quite a complicated thing to get around my mind. That you've got this homogeneous magma mixing over hundreds of kilometers. I just find it a bit mind blowing. But unless
if the intrusion idea was right, you'd think that these chromatites would intrude at various levels.
Yeah.
But are they always at the same?
Always at the same level. Yeah. So you've got, in the whole stratigraphic sequence, is that you've got, from the algae group, the lower group, through the middle group, is that you've got these massive chromatite units which are continuous, generally over 10 to hundreds of kilometers. And the compositions are also fairly continuous laterally. So, to me it seems like, that there was, the trigger mechanism was major pressure changes within the magma chamber, and that caused, changes in stability fields, and then you got the crystallization of that mineral that was more stable at that point in time.
Yeah.
But how does the accumulation occur? That's then
settled.
That's then gravity.
I think gravity settling is, I know there's, the whole, you can't imagine it as being, this 9 kilometer thick pile and a grain of, chromatite going all the way down from the top. I think there were, the multiple intrusion pulses of material. Yeah. So gravity settling, you do find quite a few sort of textures, a lot of layering within the Bushveld.